Hello and welcome to the Thinking Ahead podcast. My name is Ronaldo Stevens and I'm your host on this journey to find out more and discover the truth about careers, college, and finance. After taking a summer break and spending some valuable time with my family, I am back for Season 2. Since I've been gone, the student loan changes have been implemented, so you can now check out what the RAP plan calculations look like moving forward. And they do have an updated student loan calculator and a few more pages of information that can explain what's happening now. As usual, I will be bringing you more knowledge of not just student loans, but what you'll need to make a worthwhile decision for your future, whether that includes college or not. This year, I am hoping to bring more interviews and deep dives in so we can start some better career and financial exploration. But I appreciate those who have listened over the past year, and even those who are just now joining me in this journey. Thank you for spending this time with me. Have you ever been so caught up in the rush around you, doing what you've been doing and just following along with everyone else, until one day you stop and look around and say, what am I even doing? Is this what I actually want? This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. Besides the Talking Heads reference, there are lots of reasons people go off the quote-unquote normal path. But even more to the point, the normal path is not for everyone. Back in episode 2, I talked about how college is not for everyone. Well, in today's episode, I was able to get in touch with one of my longtime friends, Mikey, an electrician, who started on the same path as me, digital media and animation, but ended up finding his own path through an apprenticeship that led to a satisfying career. Apprenticeships aren't as widely discussed as college or even technical schools, but they have a 90% employee retention rate for those who decide to stay on through the program, according to apprentice.gov. And while not every occupation has an apprenticeship, it may be worthwhile to look adjacent to your desired field or in a related career to see if there are apprenticeship options available. But without further ado, let's ask Mikey about his apprenticeship experience and see what insights you can pull. All right. So again, thanks for joining me today on today's Thinking Ahead podcast episode. And we are discussing alternatives to college because a lot of people, they go to college and they think that that's the only way, or a lot of people in high school, especially if they're academically gifted, they think that college is the only way to move forward. And we understand that that's not the only way. And you're one of my close friends that was very successful not following his college path. So in my opinion, you're very successful. So first, Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So like you said, I did go to college, and then after college, I did find out that there's alternative ways. I'll start with starting with that, where I did the apprenticeship because basically out of college, I didn't realize how much of a portfolio you needed in order to get a job. And so our friend, Kenny Hayes, he was the one who actually told me about the apprenticeship. And at the time, I was just like, you know what? I'll try it. If I don't like it, I could say no, move on somewhere else. If I like it, I stay with it. And 15 years later, still at the Disney, still doing the same stuff, electrician. But if I had known about it before, I probably would have done the apprenticeship before college. Other than that, just bought a new house, have 2 kids, wife. I'm able to, most of my bills are paid off, except for the house loan, but a lot of that's going to get paid off with the sale of my old house. Like, I don't have any more student debt, I don't have any more car payments or stuff like that. And part of it is because of this apprenticeship that I did. So.
Right, being in the position 15 years consistently does help bring balance, especially compared to, what you did go to school for. So can you tell us what your major was when you did go to college?
Yeah, my major was digital media. I wanted to go for video game design, to do background design, and I ended up going to UCF because if I didn't like it, I was able to switch. and I didn't switch all 4 years. So I ended up with a digital media degree just to get out of college. So that's my background is digital media.
But now you are doing something, I would say, completely apart from digital media. And do you think that you had an attraction towards digital media because of the video games and because you thought it was a career track that was blowing up? Or did you just say, oh, that seems interesting, and kind of have other things you were interested in at the same time?
I did it for the second one. I was like, ah, video game design. That seems interesting. That'd be a cool career path to do. I mean, if you go with my 5-year-old self, I wanted to be a paleontologist first. And then as I went through high school, I did magnet program with animation. And so I'm like, oh, let me do video game design. I like video games. It'd be cool to work on video games. It'd be cool to see video games in the future with my name on them. And so that's why I chose that path. Now, as for my current career, it kind of relates a little bit, but I don't know if you want to get into that now or a little bit later.
Oh, no, I mean, your current career, because you work, all secrets let out, you do work at the largest employer in Florida, Disney theme parks. So
Yeah,
that is a pretty steady job because the parks aren't going anywhere. And I would argue that it's a creative outlet because there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. And you can talk a little bit about that job if you'd like to.
yeah. So I get to use a little bit of my digital media skill because you have to fix all the show effects. You have to fix the animation. You have to make the rides good for people, right? For guests and so you want to make the best you can. So you kind of have to use your creativeness to form everything to the electricity or the wires you run to them or the mechanical stuff that you fix on them. So you kind of get to use it, especially with animation, because you have to set them up to look natural. And if you don't set them up
Mm.
to look natural, that ruins the effect of it. So you kind of have to use your old school techniques from animation where we had to do a flour sack, make it move,
Hmm.
using those same techniques you use on animatronics to make them move. Be like, oh, can the elbow really bend, this way or that way? Or if the elbow bends too far back, yeah, mechanically it could bend far back, but a human never does that. So you would never set it up to go too far back like that.
That's cool. So even though it's not animation per se, you're using some of those animation skill sets that you learned in your high school program and in the college program to do those animatronics things and to make sure they're working correctly.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. So I know, we lived together for a short while, and one of the things that you do, you were very hands-on with a lot of things. So even though I know a lot of animation is now we do computers with everything, so hands are on the keyboard all the time. But what skill sets besides the animation things do you feel that transferred over? And if not many transferred over, what skill sets do you find most useful in this job?
So from the digital media degree, not a lot went over. I mean, we know how to use Microsoft Office, which you'd be surprised how many people don't know how to use that. Uh, Using Teams and stuff like that, just using communication on the computer, but that's pretty basic that people should learn in high school. There's a lot of people out there who don't know how to use it. But other than that, there's skill sets that I learned just from doing like those projects, and part of it is, how to use a screwdriver, how to use a hammer, how to use basic tools, how to use those tools the right way. Some things that I learned on the job that are useful to know is stuff like which screws for what application and which bolt you would use and which nut you would use because uh, as much as might surprise people, there is an actual use for each nut and bolt and screw, and if you use the wrong one, it will cause your project to it'll fail, it'll break. So that's kind of stuff I learned, but not stuff that I would learn through animation or anything like that. Just the hands-on small projects we did at home, fixing things. The TV stand with duct tape, things like that. Yeah,
So it's a lot of things that most people would say you don't go to college to learn. So
yeah,
learning
exactly.
those hands-on, like you said, using tools because there is not a tool class that I know of anyway that's in college. Like Home Improvement 101. That would have been pretty useful actually. But
Yeah,
um That's really cool. So you had a friend find this job for you, and
Mhm.
over the course of these past 15 years, was there any point where you were like, this is definitely where I need to be, or this isn't for me, but it's good enough? Or how did you feel about the job going through?
I, so at first, right, you start with actually from the first month I liked it, right? It was all hands on. You got to learn new stuff. They didn't expect you to know anything going into the apprenticeship. So you didn't have to know what a black wire, a white wire, a green wire, blue, red. You didn't have to know any of that. They expected you to learn everything on the job. So it's kind of like it was starting over. So I would say like before I even started the job, I was like, oh crap, now I'm starting over, doing another 4 year kind of schooling. But as I did the job, everything I learned was useful skills I can use in the real world. And not to mention like they rotate you every year, so you get to learn something new. So like the first year was very basic, outlets, switches, put up a fan. Some people plunge toilets just because it's an apprenticeship, but nothing too drastic. And then as you go through the years, the second year I was on lighting crew, so I got to do all the lights around a park, and I did that the third year too. So you get to kind of see different lights, different lighting
That's
systems.
cool.
Each one's individual, like you have LED, you have neon, you have high voltage, you have low voltage, you have controllers, you learn about fire alarm systems. And then when you get into like your third and fourth year, you start doing attractions. So now you learn about PLCs, you learn about what e-stops do, you learn about animatronics, you learn about show effects. So over the course of the years, like I liked it more and more because you learn something new each year, and each thing was a practical skill you can use. Like I learned how to put up ceiling fans. Someone
Pretty
charges
useful.
200 to $250 to do that normally. If you hire a handyman.
Yes, yes. Our ceiling fans cost that much just because of the wiring. So yes, I can attest to that. No, that's
So,
cool.
but I could do it myself, so I don't need to hire someone. Or like if I wanted to switch the lighting in my house, it's just easy. I just go and switch the lighting because I know how to do it, right? I think the biggest thing with it too is there is a direct effect from whatever I did. So like if you fix a bunch of lights that were out, you turn it on, the lights now work, the whole area looks better, right?
Mm,
Where with animation, yeah, you can render something, but the final product could take months, could take weeks. You had to sit in front of a computer. You weren't really moving around or doing different things. Even if you did the construction, because there's a construction and then there's a Disney version of the apprenticeship.
hmm.
The good thing is you do a project, you finish a project, go on to another project, even with construction. So you're always doing new things. You're doing something different every couple months. You're not stagnant. You're not just sitting in front of a computer all the time doing everything.
Right. And I do like what you said about the instant gratification because one of the things that, I do with my freelance video editing is I can work on something for a week because clients don't understand the difference between an incomplete project and a complete project sometimes. So you try to show them as finished as you can. And sometimes you can show that to them and they're like, no, no, we want to go somewhere completely different. So
Yeah,
that's, 40 hours of work that's either going to be used later or not used at that time or not used at all. It depends on the client, of course. But I do think that certain jobs, like your job, where you're working with your hands and you can instantly see what you're doing and get that instant feedback, it does help with the gratification factor. Because that's something that we don't really think about when we're looking at jobs is the gratification you get from it.
yeah.
Doing a good job and having others see a job well done and even getting, a little pat on the back every once in a while. So, what did you find most surprising about this job when you got into it? Or what do you still find most surprising about it?
Nothing really surprises me anymore. But the thing that I found the most surprising is I went into it thinking that the people who have been there for a long time know everything. So I thought I was going to go in, the journeymen were going to be these rough, tough maintenance crew members who instantly knew electricity and everything. And I was going to have to try to catch up to them being 25 years behind their experience. And so what I found though is that everyone was at every level. There are some people who have to research for 3 days to change a light bulb, and there's other people
Wow.
who can touch a light bulb and make it work. And that's not exaggerating. That's literally how it happens sometimes. So I would say too, if anybody ever is interested in it, not to be afraid of their skill level because you do learn everything on the job. You're not gonna, they don't expect you to know anything. They expect that as an apprentice, you're learning every year, even up to your last year. They expect you to know certain things as you get to each year, but they're not expecting you to go off on your own until you've graduated the program. And at that point, you have 4 or 5 years under your belt that you know how to do things. So,
Yeah, so with the program, how long does it take to quote unquote graduate the program? Because I, from my understanding, apprenticeships are kind of just whenever they feel you're ready to get the next level, they say that you're ready, or is there a set number of years or a set number of hours? How does that work?
so it's technically 4.5 years. It's 2,000 hours a year. Um, they're accredited through Mid Florida Tech, so it is an accredited program. And that 2,000 hours, really, if you break it down, as long as you don't call out every day, you make the 2,000 hours. So it's not, it seems like a lot, but it really isn't. Because if you do 40 hours a week times 52 weeks, you get well over the 2,000 hours. So, and
Right, with
then,
time off.
yeah, with time off. So you have to make 8,000 hours at the end in order to graduate, which is a pretty much 2,000 hours a year. Then when you get to your fourth year, you finish up what hours you have left. And then they have certain times they graduate the apprentices. So if you are done in May, but the apprentices aren't graduating until October, you stay an apprentice just for a little bit longer. But then once you're done with the program, there's a test that Disney gives in order to make you an RST or CRST or a electrician at Disney. And you take that test, you pass it, you get placed somewhere. And then you have your full-time job, and then you can move around as much as you want. After that, it's a 2-year top out, but you automatically get a raise from the apprentice wage to first year electrician raise.
That's cool.
And
And
then I was gonna say, in the construction side, you take a journeyman's test. You can do it if you're Disney also, but that makes you a licensed electrician. So if you ever want to do outside work, you're licensed to actually do outside work. You get a journeyman's license. So they train you to be that too.
that's awesome. And thank you for stating that those titles meant electrician when you started saying
Yeah.
CSRT and others. I was like, oh, that sounds important. But
So
basically, fancy electrician.
yeah, Disney has it where you have apprentice, then you have area mechanical electrician, which is your basic electrician. Then you are mostly in the resorts. Then in order to work on the rides as an electrician, you need ride law under your belt. So that's what a RST is,
Okay.
which is a ride and show technician. So they're electricians who have ride law, so they know like who can go out on the ride, who can lock out on the ride, who can't lock out on the ride, how the ride's supposed to work. So they're the electricians for the rides. And then CRST just means you know more about computers than the RSTs, and you took another test to get to that higher level. So it's a higher pay range. And then past that, it's just moving up through the company, management, or planner, whatever you wanted to do.
Okay, so you could basically stay kind of more in the field or start moving more into the office from there.
Yes.
Okay,
So
which track do you see for yourself?
I want to go towards sustaining, where they're the engineers. So like when we run into problems where we have to reprogram a VFD or change stuff to the ride, or we have a problem that we can't fix at all, and they have to research new parts for it because the parts are obsolete. These engineers, they're called sustaining engineers, they come in and they get all that for us and tell us what we have to do afterwards.
Oh, that seems like a pretty cool job, especially, I
Mhm.
mean, like I imagine those are the people that keep Pirates of the Caribbean running.
Yeah, so you can think of it like the RSTs and the CRSTs are the ones who do it day to day. And then when the thing goes really crazy and is a big downtime, the sustainers come in to help those guys troubleshoot things that they can't figure out. So like if a PLC, for example, went out and loses all of its memory, the sustainers would be the ones who have the backup to come in, reload the PLC, to put a new PLC in so the ride gets up and running. Hopefully that.
Yeah, no, I that's pretty cool. Like, I, again, it's interesting hearing about how many layers there are because when you think about the people that fix the ride, you just think person that fixes the ride. You don't realize that there's different levels to that, and there's like a specialty person that has to come in and figure out and solve new problems. So it's not like, an electrician just comes in and connects a wire to the electricity and it's done. It's like there are a lot of different factors in there.
Yeah.
So for people that may be interested, or students that may be interested, no matter what their age is, what route or what educational route do you think would be best for them to get them ready for this job or something like
True.
this?
So the only requirements is basic English, math up to geometry, that pass algebra 2 in their high school, and then that's it. There's an entrance exam they do just to make sure that someone's not completely stupid, but other than that, that's the only requirements. You don't have to know any electricity. You don't even have to know what a light bulb is in order to do the job.
Wow. Do they require like a high school diploma or a GED?
Yes, you have to have a high school diploma or GED with algebra 2.
Okay.
But other than that, there's no other requirements in order to get into the program, and they'll teach you everything on the job. I would say that if someone is really bad at math, right, like can't do 2 plus 2, they probably won't be able to do electrician apprenticeship all the way through. But there is also HVAC, there's mechanical, and there's a plumber apprenticeship. So there's multiple apprenticeships.
Right.
And the only reason why I say that is because when you get to your third and fourth year, you start doing some trigonometry in order to figure out circuits and things. Nothing too hard I guess for me, but I'm good at math. So I know we had some kids who they had to do, we call it a remedial math. And for like 3 months, they had to do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and they were having trouble with that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. Math is important, kids.
Yeah.
So I imagine that the math comes in handy because it's all about the voltage and wattage and figuring that out, right?
Yeah, knowing what you're supposed to see on circuits and how to calculate that further down the line so you can actually, like if you have 5 ballasts in a row,
right,
and they're in series, how to calculate if you can handle 5 ballasts with the circuit you have, or if you need to up the circuit and up the amperage.
Okay. So there you go. It's a perfect answer to where are we going to use this in real life? It's like, there it is, electricity. It's not just the classroom.
I would say with this, at least all the math relates to everything you would do on the job. There's none of this learning calculus that you never use ever in your life again, but all the math you learn in the apprenticeship, you would use on the job.
That's pretty awesome. Wow. See?
But I would say if someone's really interested in it, and I would do it right after high school and go right into that. Because what you could do is while you're in the apprenticeship, if you really are interested in college later on, places like Disney pays for your college. So that's less money you have to spend on your college. You could do college very small, do like 1 or 2 classes while you do the apprenticeship. They encourage it. Or you could do classes after your apprenticeship. And that way you have less money you're spending for college, still get your college degree later on. But the apprenticeship, like I make more than half the college people that I encounter at Disney. So I'd say right after high school, look into the apprenticeship programs, and then you're still debt free and you have a career. And there's some people, I was gonna say there's some journeymen, they did the apprenticeship program and they're electrician journeymen, they're making 120 an hour because they're doing the pipelines or a new power plant. They do that for 2 years and then they retire at Disney and they already have everything paid off. They never go get a college degree because they never need it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trek, I would say, especially the debt-free and if the work is gratifying. And I know a lot of journeymen, they have to travel to the job site because it is, specialty jobs. So it's not like they're just putting up a Barnes and Noble in your neighborhood. It could be they're helping to build this hospital that's going to take
they do
several
have,
years.
there is options too. So, that was something I thought too, because you could choose a construction route or Disney route. And the construction route, I thought you were going to have to travel all over the place. But some construction companies are actually local and some do travel. So there is the opportunity if someone doesn't want to do Disney. I chose Disney because I know it's secure, it's not project based, it's very like you do this, you have a job. Where construction is very, here's a project. Okay, you'll be laid off for a week, but then there'll be another project, laid off for a week, another project. But they don't necessarily have to travel if they wanted to do the construction route. There's places, Ermco and Tri City, they do stuff all over Orlando and they get hired out.
Hmm.
So it's something to think about too, because that can be kind of scary for people getting out of high school. Is hey, you're not going to leave your friends and family, go across the U.S. to go do this power plant, and you'll be traveling all the time. But that doesn't necessarily happen if they don't want it to happen. They can stay local.
Right.
So there's options.
Okay. Excellent. And you mentioned about promotions to different levels and different routes. How do you feel about the promotions in the company? Are they based solely on your experience and what you've done, or do you have to do a little bit of the soft skills and sucking up to people as comes with many promotions?
Both. So people will know you through your work. So as you're an apprentice, as you're able to troubleshoot, as you fix the rides and get things going, they knew who their A team is, they know who their C team is. Right? They'll see your skill, they'll see your workmanship, they'll see how fast you can fix things, how smart you are when you fix things, how well you can read prints. And those people kind of have an easier time getting promoted because everyone knows who they are and what they can do. So it kind of like mix them together. But there is a lot of like, oh, this guy stepped up to this guy and now he's promoted to manager. So it's kind of like all what you want to do, but who you
Yeah.
know kind of
Yeah,
thing
that
comes
kind
into
of the
play a lot.
normal workplace drama that you can't escape no
Yeah.
matter where you go, I
I,
suppose.
I would say the good thing about Disney though is the ability to move around. So if you get into a location where you are not liked, you don't like the work, you're just not getting along, you can easily put in the transfer somewhere else. And they can't stop that. Because Disney's so big, it's easy to transfer somewhere else, find a location you do like, and then now you're all good. We had a manager do that. He pretty much dug himself a hole with some of his decisions at one location to a point where he was being blocked. He couldn't go anywhere else. But he was able to talk to a manager completely across property, and that manager gave him a chance. So he was able to go somewhere else, had a new opportunity, new chance, way to prove himself, kind of get out of that rut. So another reason why I chose Disney also in the beginning was like, if I didn't like one area, I can go to another area, or I can move up here, or I can switch here, or transfer here. There's options. There's 50,000 people who work for Disney. There's four theme parks. Each theme park is split up four times. Not to mention
Right.
you have facilities, laundry, you have central shops where I'm at, like all these different options to go to if you don't like your location.
Right, and the resorts as well. So
Oh
there's
yeah, all the resorts.
there's many locations there.
Hmm.
So it's good to have those options.
Yeah.
Now, you've been there for 15 years, and of course you're not at the same level that you have been. Without asking you like how much you're making and stuff, unless you want to share all that, does the job support the lifestyle you want? Not just monetarily, but like time you get to spend with family, vacations you get, the time you get outside of work with friends.
Yeah, so you have a set it's dictated by the union, but Disney gives you a set amount of vacation days a year, set amount of benefits. The only thing that you run into is while you're in my level and you're part of the union contract, you have to bid for your shift. So highly anticipate third shift because all the new people start on third shift, and until you get to 10 or 15 years, you most likely won't be on first shift. Um, that being said, though, that's the only thing that constrains you. When I was at 8K, the manager was very nice to us. So, like, if I wanted Friday, Saturday off, and I had Sunday, Monday off, he would switch 1 week and I'll have a 4-day weekend and save my vacation time.
Hmm.
So basically 1 week have Friday, Saturday, and have that roll into the next week where I have Sunday, Monday. And it'd just be a whole weekend. So you have managers who could do that. They'll give you sick time. A lot of the managers will work with you. You know, there's a lot of freedom in that. The shift bid is dictated by the union, so they can't control that. But like you have your vacation time, you have your sick time you can call out. They don't like working you overtime unless there's a need to work overtime or they're offered ahead of time. If it's forced overtime, you still technically don't have to work it. But usually when it's forced overtime, like if you're dedicated to the ride, you want to stay anyways. But there's no like, oh, this week you work 32 hours, next week you're working 60. Our hours are dictated 40 hours, and that's it. So that's all we have to work. And depending on which location you're at, would depend on if you get overtime from there or have to work more than that. So at that point, it's on you. It's not on management. It's not Disney forcing me to do that.
So a person that, let's say, before your lifestyle of two kids and a wife, you could work that overtime to get that extra money if you chose to.
Yeah, I did it all the time
Yeah, I'm
because
sure.
we would start up the when I was on third shift, we would always start up the rides to get them ready for ops in the morning, operations. Those are the people you see who tell you which line to go in at the front of the rides.
Hmm.
So we would start it up for them, and then our management would come in and be like, "Hey, we don't have an electrician today. Anybody want to stay over 4 hours?" And no wife, no kids at the time would be like, "Yeah, I'll stay over 4 hours. I already had the ride up and running. Why wouldn't I do that? There's nothing to worry about." But yeah, they would offer overtime like that, or they'll just be like, "Oh, here's a project. Come in 2 hours early," or "Hey, we need you to stay for a 10-hour shift. Can you do it?" They'll tell me ahead of time. I'll be like, "Yeah, I can do that." Or no, I have family coming in town, and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool." So
That's some nice flexibility. And
yeah.
of course, having not just the money, because that's a lot of people look at the money of a job and how much they have coming in, but also being aware of the time that you have available, how easy it is to take time off, how easy it is to leave for emergencies. Those are all things that factor in. And it sounds like, just not because of the union, but the nature of the job itself, it sounds like they give you all those flexibilities and then some.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been able to leave early to pick up my kids also, because like when daycare calls and says they're sick, you have to pick them up right away. So I just let my manager know. He puts in the sick time for me, and then I go pick them up. So it's not like I had to wait 5 hours for the end of my shift or get pointed or something like that. And pointed is getting a reprimand because you left early.
Yeah, I know a lot of companies use the point system to
Yeah.
recommend their employees. So it's good that you guys have that flexibility.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you have for someone that wants to get into this job or career, is interested in this job or career?
Go ahead and apply. So it could take anywhere from 10 days to 2 years to get into an apprenticeship. But the longer you wait to apply, the longer you're waiting. And I've seen a lot of people too, they wait to apply because they're afraid of, I don't know what they're afraid of. And so my biggest advice is put everything in, submit everything, pay the fee, take the test, get on the list, because then now you're not waiting an extra 2 years because you decided to wait to apply to get in at the beginning. And then in the normal time, just keep doing what you're going to do in your life. If you take some classes, you take some classes, you're a little bit further ahead. If you wait at home and you get a different job, you get a different job. But don't be stuck or focused on one job. Just try to do what you can and the now, but put things in place in order to go to the future, I would say, if that makes sense.
Well, that does. It makes sense to me. So I think that's good. And it's kind of interesting that it takes that long to get an apprenticeship. So they hold on to the applications for
Yeah, so
a
what
long
they
time.
what they do is they get a list. So let's say 200 people apply, right? And they get all their stuff in, and they get it all in August. Come February, Disney tells the union, hey, we need 75 apprentices to fill these slots. The union will go down that list of 200 and pick the top 75 people, say, hey, you want this job? And they say, yes, good. So you start Monday to all those people. Now, number 76 onward is that new number one for when they need more people in August. So that's why it could take 2 years. It depends on your interview and where you place on that list and everything. So that's why I tell people, if you do it now, you're not waiting 2 years to wait 2 years to apply again.
Mm,
And I would
okay.
also say, when you apply, if you don't know anybody in the apprenticeship, it helps to call the school multiple times after you apply and submit everything to check up and see where your application is. So there's people who like have no connections to the apprenticeship or anything, they just apply. They don't call them back. So they sit at number 200 forever. But then there's other people I know who apply and then they haven't heard anything. So they call the school back a month later. Hey, I applied. I haven't heard anything. What's going on? And magically, those people who called back because they're showing an interest seem to move up to number one spot on that list and they get to be in the next class and they start their apprenticeship. So keep on top of it. But in the meanwhile, those people who applied who are waiting to get a spot or hear back, they're custodial, they're operations, they're different positions in Disney, they got a different job. They're not just sitting at home doing nothing. They're doing whatever they can in the meanwhile. So.
Yeah, doing the daily work and being persistent, of course, is important. Staying on top of things.
Don't call every day, but like every couple of weeks, be like, "Hey, where's this application?"
Send in a basket of flowers with a wine, saying, "Hey, how about that application?"
Some nice cheeses and chocolates and everything.
Exactly. Something. I'm sure Aldi's has a gift basket you can get together on the cheap.
Send them a new screwdriver, a Klein screwdriver, and some wire nuts.
That's some real initiative right there.
But yeah, if anybody's interested, they just need to go to the Florida Department of Education website, and all the apprenticeships that are available in Florida are listed on their site. So if they just navigate through there, they're all on there. There's a way that it actually like shows you how to apply and which union to apply to.
That's awesome. I'm going to be sure to put that in the show notes so people can find it and click on that link if they're interested in the apprenticeships.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Mikey, for coming on the show. Thank you so much and sharing your life with us and letting us know how to get to where you are working and making the magic happen behind the scenes.
No worries. Glad I could be on.
Another thank you to Mikey Sherris for joining me in today's episode so we could get more insight and knowledge on apprenticeships and why they might be right for you. If an apprenticeship seems like something that would fit your goals and lifestyle, head on over to www.apprenticeship.gov. They are a government-backed one-stop shop to find more information about what programs are available in your state and how to apply to those programs. They even have educational resources to better prepare you for an apprenticeship. Again, that's www.apprenticeship.gov. So, until next time, set your goals, do the daily work, and of course, keep thinking ahead.